Shalom. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shabbat Rakatham. To all the Akim out there, Yahweh Shamar Alatham Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai to all the Akwathian. This is the closing of the Feast of Fruits service, Baltimore, May 29th, 2023. And every feast day, high holy day, what we do is the tradition of the school is that we go and we go over the book of Leviticus 23. We're going to go through each part of Leviticus 23 where it talks about all the feasts. And we're going to do some breakdowns. If you have any questions, we're going to go through that. I will answer those questions. But like I said, we're going to go through, the tradition is for us to go through Leviticus 23. And then we're going to talk about the spirit behind the Feast of the Firstfruits. We're going to talk about the spirit behind it for the day. All right. And like we do every week, we start off, we read Leviticus 23. We always read in the Hebrew, and then we read it in the English. So we're going to read Leviticus 23 in the Hebrew, then in the English. We're reading verses 1 through 7. Got questions? Come. Who needs a Bible? Need a Bible? Come on. Come. All right. Leviticus 23, verse 1 in the Hebrew. Dabar, Yahweh, Al, Mashal, Amar. Verse 2. Dabar, Al, Bunya, Yasha'ala, Wa Amartha, Alahim, Mawa'idya, Yahweh, Ashar, Makorawa, Atham, Makora, Quadash, Allah, Ham, Mawa'idya. Verse 3. Shashta, Yum, Aisha, Malaka, Yawam, Hashabayaya, Shabath, Makora, Kodash, Call, Malaka, La'ah, Aisha Wa, Shabath, Hawa'ah, Layahawa Bakal, Mashawabath Yakam. Verse 4. Allah, Mawa'ija, Yahawa, Makoraya, Kodash, Ashar, Makorawa, Atham, Aidma. Verse 5. Bakadash, Ashwan, Ba'aiha, Ashar, Lakadash, Bayan, Ha'irabyam, Pasak, Layahawa. Verse 6. Wabawakam, Masha, Ashar, Yawam, Lakadash, Hazah, Ha, Hamataza, Waf, Layahawa, Shaba'if, Yum, Mataza Waf, Ha'akalwa. Verse 7. Bayawam, Ashwan, Makora, Kodash, Yahaya, Lakam, Call, Malakaf, Ibadha, La'ah, Aishawa. And that's it. All right, now we're going to be reading Leviticus 23. And we're going to be reading verses 1 through 7. We're going to read in the English, and we're going to do some breakdowns of it. Leviticus chapter 23, verse 1. And the Most High spoke unto Moses, saying, verse 2, speak unto the children of Israel. Let me stop right there real quick. This breaks the Christian concept that the Most High is speaking to everybody. In the Christian church, people say, well, the Most High was talking to me. The Most High talked to Moses, and then Moses talked to the people of Israel. And when the Moses talked to the people of Israel, it was like the Most High was speaking. But please don't get it twisted. The Most High always worked through one man when dealing with the nation of Israel. He always dealt with one man when dealing with Israel, and then he would tell the man what to say to the people. Verse 2, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them concerning the feasts of the Most High. These are the feasts of the Most High, okay, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Holy convocations mean separate convocations. These are separate assemblies. Well, if they're separate convocations, that means that everybody can't be a part of it. Okay, that breaks the Christian concept that anybody and everybody days. Okay, he said and separate. Holy just means separate, anything magical. Feast. Verse 3. 6 days shall the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest. Okay, 6 days the work shall be done. The oppressor tried to doesn't separate. He made it into a 24-hour day, but the Most High separated the day and the night so that you would be working in the daytime. 6 days you shall work, and when the sun had set, and that was nighttime. But Most High says 6 days your work should be done, but the seventh is the Sabbath day of rest. That is the day where you are, as an employer, you're supposed to give your employees a day off. Okay. However, we are in slavery right now. We are in the time of our captivity. So because we're in our captivity, this oppressor causes us to have to work on these high holy days, like the Sabbath day. However, if you are an employer, you are to give your employees off on the Sabbath day. That was a day that you were not required to work. When the sun came out on the Sabbath, you were to rest. Okay. Cons. Oh, it's the door. All right. That was the day where you were required to rest, and you were required to, to do, it's a day for you to do things that, that are healthy, and you're not supposed to just sit there and do nothing. You have the heathen that thinks you're not supposed to do nothing on the Sabbath. Like you can't even cook. There's some groups that say, we're going to show you can cook on the Sabbath. Because the Pharisees, when they came through during Christ's time, they pretty much started adding all these things to the Sabbath, which wasn't supposed to be. It was supposed to be the Sabbath was supposed to be a day to serve you, not you serving the Sabbath. And I wish I said that. All right, let's go on. Shalom. You should do no work wherein it is the Sabbath of Most High in all your dwellings. Verse 4. These are the feasts of the Most High, even holy convocations, and you shall proclaim in their season. So these are feasts that we proclaim in their seasons, the seasons that the Most High say, not during the seasons that the oppressor says. Verse 5. In the 14th day of the first month at evening is the Most High's Passover. Okay? Now, there are certain groups, fake Israelite groups or other groups, that think anybody can take the Passover. Well, that's just like anybody celebrating the American Independence Day. Not everybody can celebrate because it's an American holiday. It's about the time when the Americans separated from the British. The British and supposedly became their own nation and called it the American nation. The feast is the Passover is a day to commemorate when the Most High slaughtered our enemies. So why would an Egyptian keep this day? Why would somebody of a Hamite keep this day, a Canaanite? This day talks about the Most High slaughter of the firstborn and causing us to have liberation. So that's the Passover. We're supposed to keep the Passover. Not everybody's supposed to keep the Passover because it doesn't commemorate their liberation. A Chinese person is not going to commemorate, a person in America is not going to commemorate the Chinese New Year. It doesn't mean anything to them. So the Passover is not going to have meaning to anybody except if you're an Israelite, because that's when the Most High slammed and destroyed Egypt. Verse 6, and on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Most High. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. And the reason why we eat unleavened bread is because we had to eat the Passover in haste. And because we had to eat the Passover in haste, we did not have time to put yeast inside of our bread for it to rise. We had to eat the Passover in haste and get out of there, pretty much flee. As the Egyptians were burning the dead bodies, we had to flee into that wilderness for 7 days. And so that commemorates that's why the feast is 7 days, us fleeing into that wilderness and us not having time to make our bread to rise. So that bread represents the bread of haste. And that commemorates. That's when we keep the feast of unleavened bread when the Most High shattered Egypt, and we fled into the wilderness in haste away from the Egyptians. And that's why we eat unleavened bread. Verse 7. And the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. And the first day, there should be a holy. Holy is nothing mystical. It's nothing magical. It just means separate. You're supposed to have a separate a separate assembly. If you're a police officer and they have a police officer meeting, that's a separate meeting for a police officer. Not everybody's supposed to be called in. If you have a business meeting for your business, you don't invite everybody. The feast days are separate convocations for Israelites. And no servile work means no work that's going to cause you to get money. Okay, no work where you're benefiting and getting money from. That's what servile work for. So you're not to conduct your business and make money on that day for your business. All right, verse 8. Now we're going to read verse 8. Oh, I'm sorry, and that's it. All right, now we're going to be reading Leviticus 23, 8 through 14 in the Hebrew, and then we're going to read it in English. Leviticus 23, verse 8. Well, Korabatham. Asha, we're on Leviticus 23, verse 8. Waha korabtham Asha la Yahweh Shaba'ith Yam Yam Bayawam Hashabayaya Makorah, Quadash, Call, Malakaf, Ibadha, La'ah, Fa'aishawa, verse 9. Wayadabar, Yahweh, Al, Mashal, Amar, verse 10. Dabar, Al, Bunya, Yasha'ala, Wa Amartha, Alaham, Kaya, Saba, Awa, Al, Ha'aratasa, Ashar, Anya, Nathan, Lakam, Wa Quatzazaratham, Af, Wa Quatzazartha, Thumb, Af, Aymar, Ra'asha, Quatzazarkam, All, Hakahan, verse 11, Waha Nayak, Af, Hayamar, Lapunya, Yahweh, La Rataza Unkam, Mamakaraf, Hashabath, Yan Yakwa, Hakahan, verse 12, Aishayaf, Bayawam, Hanayakam, Af, Hayamar, Kabash, Thamayam, Bun, Shanafwa, La'ila, Yahawa. Verse 13, Woman Kathwa, Shunya, Aisharanyam, Salaf, Balawala, Bashaman, Asha, La Yahawa, Rayach, Nayakak, Wana Saka, Yayan, Rabba Aith, Hahayan, verse 14, Walakam, Wakwalya, Wakaramal, La'a, Fa'akalwa, Aid, Aitazam, Hayawam, Hazah, Aid, Haba Ya'akam, Af, Kwaraban, Alahayakam, Kwakwas, Iwalam, Ladarathyakam, Bakal, Mashabathyakam, and that's it. Shalom. Shalom, brother. All right, now we're going to be reading Leviticus 23 in the English. We're reading verses 23, 8 through 14 in the English. But ye should offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High 7 days. And the 7th day is a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work within. Okay, an offering made by fire. There was different types of offerings that people were doing during the feast days. We'll talk about certain offerings. You have burnt offerings. Like General Hyman said, a burnt offering is when the Most High pretty much consumed something very important from your flocks or from your herds. Really, it was usually expensive, like bullock or ram or lamb. General Hyman made the best analogy. It's like taking $500,000 or $1 million and just burning it in the fire, which means it shows that nothing belongs to you. All right, verse 9. And the Most High spoke unto Moses, saying, verse 10, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, when you come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then you shall bring a sheep of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. Okay, so this is the first thing. This is first fruits. So look at verse 10. He's saying you're going to bring a sheep. You're going to bring a sheep of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. This is the spirit behind this, is so that you won't be greedy, because the Most High had you take the best of your first fruits. I don't know if anybody's a farmer here, but farmers understand this best. But when you have your first fruits and they grow, usually those are your best. And when they grow, you were to take your first fruits and you were to bring them to the priest. Okay, and that was to teach you not to be greedy, because a lot of times we know what happens. A lot of us in the Black, Hispanic, in Native areas, our Oprahs and Jordans, when they get a lot of money, what do they usually do? They forget the people that's in the hoods. They forget the people that's struggling. Well, the Most High built in so you wouldn't do that, so you wouldn't be greedy. So he was like, you're going to take the best of your first fruits and you're going to bring it and you're going to give it to the Most High. Well, giving it to the Most High was you giving it to the priest. And why were you giving it to the priest? Because the priests were the ones that stood in before you. They were the ones that stood before you to stand in on your behalf to the Most High, just like a lawyer. Actually, the word Levite in Hebrew is lawyer. That's where the word lawyer comes from. Okay, it's to stand in. That's why when you go to court and there's a judge there, you have a lawyer that stands for you. Well, the priests were the ones that stood for you and represented you, and when it came to the Most High, and they would, so because of that, the first fruits would go to them. because when you don't pay the priests, then that's why all of them become Uber drivers, and none of them can come and teach because they got to become an Uber driver and do all these other jobs because nobody is giving them their first fruits. Because that's how the priests. Because the priests did not have lands. They had little suburban areas that they lived in, but they did not have lands where they could pick, fruits and stuff. The people were supposed to give to the priests, and that's how the priests benefited. Verse 11, and he shall wave the sheaf before the Most High to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. So this is not nothing spooky. Okay, it's not like the priest was doing an abracadabra or anything like that. The priest would hold out your first fruits to present it, just like when we hold out the cup and we drink, we say La Yasha Allah. It's the same thing the priest did. He made sure that you were bringing the right stuff, because that's what happened to Cain. Cain wasn't bringing, his first. He was not bringing lambs and first fruits. That's why Most High didn't accept his sacrifice. So the priest would examine it and waive it, and that's why it was accepted on your behalf. And it was the morrow after the Sabbath, after the feast of unleavened bread. That's when the first fruits would begin. Now we don't have a high holy day for the opening of the first fruits, but we do at the closing. But the priest would, you would bring your first fruits in, present it for the priest, and then you could do whatever you want with the rest of your crops. But the Most High was teaching you not to be so greedy or crabs in a barrel and think about yourself. Because a lot of us, out here will just think about our own selves and not think of our brother. Verse 12. And you shall offer the day when you wave the sheaf, a he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto the Most High.
Can I add something real quick?
Come,
you got to recognize and understand this also. It's the first fruits. It's like you just reading up on your goods and services, and you trying to get to work, but you got to break the Lord off first. That's how humbling he's making Israel. You understand? In this instance. Go ahead.
Come.
So make sure you raise your hand next time.
Excellent point, sir. Verse 13. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deal of fine flour mingled with oil. Okay, we talked about this. So you couldn't just bring your first fruits. You had to bring a meat offering because the Most High requires blood. That's why he respected Abel's sacrifice, because Abel brought forth a meat offering and Cain did not. The Most High wants the vegetables and the meat. He wants both, and you're supposed to bring it before him. And that's how it's supposed to be respected. That's why you didn't respect Cain's offering. And you're supposed to, it says, shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour, mingled with oil, flour mixed with oil, and an offering made by fire. This just shows that you can cook on the Sabbath, because the priest had to cook it. It didn't magically get cooked. Flour mixed with oil. And what does that sound like? Y'all know what that sounds like. Anybody want to tell me flour and oil? Anybody want to tell me what that sounds like? Batat? Oh, go ahead, Kellen. What does that sound like? Somebody want to answer that? Flour? Yeah, it sounds like it's fried. Get my hand. It's like something fried. It's a fried meal.
Sound like somebody hungry.
So right, it's a cookout, and so this cuts because there's some groups that say you cannot cook. The priest had to cook.
Right, somebody had to cook.
Somebody had to cook.
Look, hey, that's why these religious institutes, they be starving on the Sabbath day, eating cold cuts. Listen. Cook your goddamn food, Salak. You know what I mean? Don't be Jewish. Okay? Pull that grill out if you want to. Have fun. It's your day. You know what I'm saying? You ain't serving the Sabbath. You understand? But if y'all could, y'all can start making plates. Y'all can start eating whenever y'all ready. All right? Sisters, please.
Sisters. All right, and the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deal of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto the Most High for a sweet savor, and the drink offering. Not only were you supposed to do a meat offering, you were supposed to actually do a drink offering as well, wine. So you're supposed to bring wine in. All right, so the Most High not only required meat, he required fruits, and he required wine. Well, this cuts the people that say you're not supposed to drink. You can drink. You can drink wine. You can drink beer. You're not supposed to be an alcoholic. You know what I'm saying? But you can drink wine and you can drink beer, because the Most High had the priest, and that was the first fruits that they were bringing in of their wines and corn. And the drink offering should be thereof of wine, the fourth part of a hin. Verse 14. And you shall eat neither bread nor parched corn nor green ears, until the self same day that ye have brought an offering into your power. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings. So, and notice it says you're not supposed to eat neither bread, parched corn, or green ears until you brought stuff in. Until you brought your first fruits to the priest, you were not supposed to eat none of that stuff. Okay, because the Most High did not want you to be greedy. So before you eat any of your green ears, your crops, you had to take those first fruits and bring it before the priest. Then you could do what you like with your crops. And that was a statute forever. And that's it. So, like, you had a question? Salaki, sir? Gambling? I keep gambling.
Gambling winners do count because that is an increase. Ain't you talking about ties? Yeah, that's an increase. The Lord anytime you get money in your hand, that is your increase. The Lord then increase your pay, your yeah, that's an increase for sure.
It's like
you break off 10%. Say it again.
Is that where cats and lots come from, sir?
Cats and lot is gambling. Yeah,
it is. That's cats and lots. All right.
But, hey, did you want to eat now or did you want to wait?
I'll wait.
Same here. I ain't want to hold nobody up.
Come. All right, just the people up here. I mind you. Batak, present thyself in thy registry. Stay on this side, Batak. This side.
Maya. Go ahead. State your registry. No, Maya. There you go. No. Do it at a Maya. Now state it. Stay like it? Yeah.
Batak, ban Yahawah, ban Yasha'Allah. Yahawah Bashim Yashabrakatah. Your shopping, set and return. All right, we're going to continue now. We're in Leviticus 23, verse 15, and we're going to be reading 15 through 21 in the Hebrew.
Let me take it. And make sure I'm in the right spot because you know this one be iffy.
Come.
What's a Partham? I'm in the right spot.
Come.
I'm just making sure. Lakam, Mama Karath, Ashabab, Mayawam, Kabaya Af, Aymar, Atana Wapa, Shabai, Shabaf Waf, Amayamath, Tahayayan, Tahayan, good night, that's a tongue twister. Tahayana, 16, Aid, Mama Karath, Ashabath, Ashabaya, Aif. That's a Parwa, Kamashium, Yawam, Wahakorabdam, Manacha, Kadesha, Layahawa, 17. Mama was Bathyakam, the Awa, 17. Mama was Bathyakam, the Awa, Lacham, Dana Wapa, Shatayam, Shanya, Aisharanium, Salah, the Hayayana, Kamataza. Is that right?
Come.
The water. Al, Halacham, Shaba'aith, Kabashiam, Tama Yamam, Banya, Shana, Wapar, Bun, Bakwar, Chad, Wa'ala, Wa'ala ya, Wa'al Yalam, Wa'al Yalam, Shanayam, Yahayawa, Ayla, La Yahawa, Wamanaktham, Wanasakyaham, Hasha, Rayak, Nayakak, La Yahawa, 19, Wa'aisha Yatham, Sha'ayar, Izawam, Achad, Lakata'ath, Shanya, Kabashiam, Banya, Shana, Lazabak, Shala, Shalamiam, 20, Wahanayak, Hakahan, Atham, Al, Lakam, Abakawariam, Dana Wapa, Lapanya, Yahweh, Al, Shanya, Kabashiam, Kodash, Yahawa, Yahweh, Lakahan, 21, Wakora, Thumb, Ba'itazam, Hayawam, Azah, Makora'ah, Kodash, Yahaya, Wakam, Kal, Mala'akah, Ibadal, La'ah, Ba'aishwa, Kwath, Iwalam, Bagal, Mawashabat Yakam, Adarath Yakam.
Now we're going to be reading Leviticus 23, 15 through 21 in the English.
Come. So Leviticus 23 and 15. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of wave offering, seven Sabbaths shall be complete.
Stop right there. So after the Feast of Unleavened Bread, you had to count for yourself 7 Sabbaths. So somebody do the math. I know y'all do. 7 Sabbaths equals how many days? 49, and then if you add 49 days. Okay, so 7 Sabbaths should be complete. So after the Feast of Unleavened Bread, you had to count for yourself 7 Sabbaths. Go ahead, verse 16.
Verse 16. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days.
Then so you count 7 Sabbaths plus 1, 50 days.
And ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord.
So then that shows, okay, and that is the closing. This is the day that it's talking about, right? The closing of the Feast of First Fruit. You're offering a new meat offering. Go ahead.
Verse 17. Ye shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves of 2 tenth deals. They shall be of fine flour. They shall be baken with leaven. They are the first fruits unto the Lord.
Okay, so you're bringing your first fruits out, and you are supposed to bring that, and you are supposed to bring that also to the priest. Okay, you're supposed to bring your best. As Captain Saparia said, you're going to bring the best that you have, and you got to pay the Most High first. All right, and those are the first fruits unto the Most High. Okay, all right, and it says 2 wave loaves, 2 tenth deals. They should be of fine flour. Once again, go ahead. Verse 18.
Verse 18, and ye shall offer with the bread 7 lambs without blemish of the first year, and 1 young bullock, and 2 rams. They shall be for a burnt offering unto the Lord, with their meat offering and their drink offerings, even an offering made by fire of sweet savor unto the Lord.
Okay, so the Most High likes this. It's a sweet savor, and this is also, all of this has to be cooked. So, this wasn't magically cooked. They brought it, and the priest benefited off of it. Okay, that's how the priest got to eat, because they had to do it takes time. You got to take the fur off the lamb, got to slaughter it, you got to do a lot. All right, go ahead.
Verse 19, then ye shall sacrifice 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and 2 lambs of the first year for a sacrifice of peace offerings.
Go ahead.
Verse 20, and the priest shall wave them with the bread of the first fruits for a wave offering before the Lord with 2 lambs.
Okay, so once again, the priest, you would give it to the priest, and he would present it. Okay, present it before the Most High. And actually, if you look at Deuteronomy, it actually shows that when you gave the first fruits, you actually had to say something to the priest to declare that you were taking your first fruits. Okay, you had to say that before the priest. We'll pull that in a little bit. Go ahead.
Come. With 2 lambs, and they shall be to the Lord. They shall be holy to the Lord for the priest. 21. And you shall proclaim on the self-same day that it may be an holy convocation unto you. You shall do no servile work therein.
Servile work means, money. You're not doing work that's going to benefit, pretty much money. You're not doing work to make money on that day. That's what servile work is. Go ahead.
It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations.
All right, hold that there for a second. I want to just pull real quick. Leviticus 26. Leviticus 26. Hold that there. Go to Leviticus 26. I just want to show you what happened when they had to bring that first fruits in. Hold it right there and just go to Leviticus 26, verse 1.
Okay. It's Leviticus 26 and 1.
Go ahead.
You shall make you no idols, nor graven image.
Verse 26. Chapter 26.
Oh, you said verse 1.
Oh, yeah, verse 1. Go ahead.
You shall.
Deuteronomy, Salakia. That's what I'm sorry. That was my fault. Deuteronomy 26, Salakia. I'm looking at it. Yeah, just hold your place. Go ahead. Deuteronomy 26, verse 1.
It's Deuteronomy 26 and 1.
Go ahead.
And it shall be when thou art come unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance, and possesseth it, and dwelleth therein.
Go ahead.
That thou shalt take of the first of all the fruit of the earth, which thou shalt bring of thy land, that the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shall put it in a basket.
So they're supposed to take their first fruits and they have to put it in a basket. Go ahead.
And shall go unto the place which the Lord thy God shall choose to place his name there.
Go ahead.
Verse 3. And thou shalt go unto the priest, and shall be in those days, Salakia. Thou shalt be in those days, and say unto him, I profess this day unto the Lord thy God, that I am come into the country which the Lord sware unto our fathers for to give us.
Go ahead.
Verse 4. And the priest shall take the basket out of thine hand, and set it down before the altar of the Lord thy God.
Okay, so you had to bring this before the priest. Go ahead, keep going.
Verse 5. And thou shalt speak and say before the Lord thy God, a Syrian ready to perish was my father.
Stop right there. Who is he talking about? Anybody know what he's talking about when he said a Syrian ready to perish was my father? Anybody know who he's referring to? Anybody want to take a guess? When he said a Syrian was... Go ahead.
Chose.
You're thinking. This is... Anybody else?
Chick.
Close, getting closer. This is talking about Abraham.
I was ready to say that.
Abraham. So when Abraham left the Chaldeans of Ur, he dwelt in, I think it's Hanan, and that was a place in Syria.
That's
That's
what the Chaldeans are.
No, when he left the child of Ur, he went to dwelt in Hanan.
My way back to
All right, go ahead.
Salaki. And he went down into Egypt and sojourned there with a few, and became there a nation, great, mighty, and populous.
Go ahead.
Verse 6. And the Egyptians evil entreated us and afflicted us, and laid upon us hard bondage. Verse 7.
Let's go, jump down to verse. Go down to verse 10. Jump down to verse 10.
It's Deuteronomy 26 and 10. And now, behold, I have brought the first fruits of the land, which thou, O Lord, hast given me. And thou shalt set it before the Lord thy God, and worship before the Lord thy God. Verse 11. And thou shalt rejoice in every good thing which the Lord thy God hath given unto thee, and unto thine house, thou and the Levite, and the stranger that is among you.
Notice how you show, and after you take the first fruits of your harvest, you give it to the priest, and then you were supposed to rejoice with who? The Levites, the stranger. This is all showing us not to be greedy.
Okay.
You were supposed to take of your belongings, and you were to share it. You were to share it with the people. You were sharing it with the Levites. You were supposed to take first your first fruits, and give it to the priest, leave it there, and then you were supposed to rejoice with the rest of your harvest with who? The Levites, the stranger. Okay? All of this is to show not to be greedy. Go ahead.
No, I'm listening.
All right.
I'm let you finish.
And so we'll come back to that, but let's go back to Leviticus 23.
No, it's Salaki. Good.
Go ahead.
So basically, it's like a community thing. Like everybody help you. Like nobody can go hungry if we all doing the same.
Right. That's why
nobody can need or want for anything.
Absolutely. Because at one time in the black community, you didn't see homeless people.
Right.
Because people shared.
Right.
But now, since we've been acting like the oppressor, and it's all I'm doing it for me, and I got to get mine. Now we got all these homeless people, and we got all this stuff in the community.
And look, one thing too,
sir.
like the oppressor, he don't even care about his own people. Like
How
the hell your own people on the streets? That don't even make no goddamn sense. I don't have any allegiance, any brother. This world need Negroes and Hispanics to be rulers over this place, man.
Come.
I don't even make no goddamn sense.
Come.
If they knew any better, they want us in power.
Come.
Right.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. If if they're gonna treat their own like garbage, where does that leave us? Good point, Cat. All right. We're gonna go ahead and read Leviticus 23. We're going to be reading verses 22 through 28 in the Hebrew. Let me take this okay. Leviticus 23, chapter 23. We're in verse 22. What about Quatazar come? Quatazar, or Ratazakam, La'a, Fakala, Pa'a, Quat Shadka, but Quatazarka, well, Quat. What Tazayarka, La'a, Quat, La'anya, well, a gar, Izab, Atham, Anya, Yahweh, Alahayakam. Verse 23. Where you Dabar, Yahweh, all, Mishal, Amar. Verse 24. Dabar, all, Bunya, Yasha'ala, La Amar, Bakadash, Hashabayaya, Bakhad, Lakadash, Yahaya, Lakam, Shabbath one, Zakar one, Wa'aiha, Makorah, Kodash, verse 25. Call Mala'akath, Ibadha, La'a, Aishawa, Waha Korabtham, Asha, La Yahweh, verse 26. Wayadabar, Yahweh, all, Mashal, Amar, verse 27. Aisha, war, La Khadash, Hashabayaya, Hazah, Yawam, Hakaparium, Hawa'a, Makorah, Kodash, Yahaya, Lakam, Wa'ainayaf, Yatham, Wa'ayatham, Napashaf Yakam, Wahakorabtham, Asha, La Yahweh, verse 28. Wakal, Ma'alaka, La'av, Aishawa, but I Tazam, La Hayawam, Hazah, Kaya, Yawam, Kaparium, Hawa'a, La Kapar, Al Yakam, La Panya, Yahweh, Al Hayakam, and that's it. Shalom, sister. Shalom, Elijah. All right. We're now going to be reading Leviticus 22. We're going to go through verse 28 in the English.
Okay. It's Leviticus 22. Salaki. 23.
Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 22.
23 and 22. And when you reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field when thou reapest.
Anybody know why that is?
Salaki, I was just about to ask.
Why when he said when you reap your harvest, you are not to clean the riddance of the corners of your field?
Oh, Salat.
Go ahead.
If I could. So, for the poor people.
For the poor people. So this is another thing. I mean, I don't know if anybody's farmers here, but think of a field of greens and think of a field of corn and different things that you're growing. And you have a field, and the field's maybe like a rectangular shape. Now, you know good and well, when you grow a field of crops, that you could just take some to feed you and your family. You're going to have a lot of left. You're going to have a lot of crops left. So this is showing not to be so greedy and don't grab everything. Don't grab everything and try to take enough for you and then leave stuff for other people. Leave stuff for the poor. And that's why, at one time, blacks and Hispanics, we all did that in our neighborhood. And that's why you didn't see homeless black men and homeless black women and homeless blacks, Hispanics, and Native. Now you see one on every other block.
Right.
Because people have been so greedy and people are following the steps of the oppressor and they want to take every crumb and have the attitude, I got to get mine. Well, the Most High was commanding us to share. I mean, leave stuff for the poor person, the person less fortunate. And actually, other groups already know to do that. When they come over here and make a business from the Hunan province of China, they know that they're going to have that business and bring others to share the business with. They're not having that attitude, well, I got out and did mine, so you got to get yours. That is the oppressor's teaching on us, and we got to get out that attitude. Go ahead.
24.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Neither shalt thou gather any gleaning of thy harvest.
Anybody know what gleaning means? When you got the gleaning of your harvest, what does that mean?
Seeds.
You're thinking. Anybody know when you the gleaning? The gleaning means the stuff that falls. You know when you pick something off a tree or a branch or something, stuff's going to fall. Most I was saying, like, don't pick that stuff up. Leave that for people, like for the poor. But other people got to take every crumb that falls.
Like when you grab the grapes and the Lord,
Yeah,
grapes that
grab
fall
the grapes, other grapes are going to fall to so that's what gleaning means. Go ahead.
Thou shalt leave them unto the poor and to the stranger. I am the Lord your God.
And the stranger is an Israelite that came from afar. That's who the stranger is. It's not what, they think like anybody. The stranger was the Israelite that wasn't born in the area that you're in and comes from afar. You were to leave that for them. Okay? So it was lawful for you to go through somebody's field and pick something to eat. And to prove that, Christ and the apostles did that. And they tried to say that Christ was working on the Sabbath. They were going to the fields and picking food to eat. Go ahead.
Verse 23. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying.
Notice it's saying the Most High spoken to Moses. He's not speaking to everybody. He spoke to Moses. Moses spoke to the people. Go ahead.
Verse 24. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of the trumpets, and holy convocation.
Okay, so this is another feast day which happens usually in the.
Can I say something on the last feast?
Oh, go ahead.
Real quick. Well, look, and listen, the oppressor, right? This is how you know how wicked he is. Instead of giving those, what did you mention about it when the stuff fall down?
The gleaning.
Instead of giving the glean away, he'll throw it away. If you ever worked in a department store, like a grocery store or Walmart or something like that, they throwing away thousands of pounds of food a day. In each one of these stores, man. But we was really righteous. It was really about this following God. Everybody said they love God. That food will be going to the less fortunate, man. We're talking about thousands of pounds of food going into a compactor, getting thrown away. I mean, you had something, Triple?
If I could.
Go ahead, Triple.
They'll throw that food away and still sell you old food.
And then, come on, forget about it, man.
You know what I'm saying?
They don't have any sense of morality, man. Even for their own people. Go ahead, you can continue.
Start from the top of 24.
Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation.
So in this feast day, that was the feast day to commemorate the memorial blowing the trumpets. Israel, and this is what, this feast day commemorate when Israel was all in one accord and one wavelength. And this is what the Black, Hispanic, and Native community need to do, is be on one wavelength. Because anciently, other cultures trying to come into our nation and taking over is nothing new. The Koreans, the Arabs, and the Chinese, Japanese, and the Esau, they always trying to infiltrate our borders. But what we would have men of war, and we would blow a trumpet to let people know that need to gather a place where they can be safe, and for our men of war to gather and fight. Well, because we don't have righteous leaders to warn, we're just letting anybody in our community, and that's why the Koreans and the Arabs and the East Indians are all in the Black communities, because nobody is sounding the trumpet and nobody is protecting the Black community. But anciently, the Feast of Trumpets commemorated that. For us to have our warriors go out and defend against and fight against the foreigners that were trying to come and invade, because everybody knows, even anciently they knew that you could benefit off of Black people, Blacks and Hispanics. We were the best farmers, we were the best agriculture, we were best architects. Even when slavery actually, well, not slavery was over, but after 1865, when the slaves were leaving the plantations, all of them had skills. That they were the most skilled workers. That's why they created unions, because they created unions to keep Blacks out of jobs, because they were the most skilled people. They were the people the most skilled. And every nation knows they can benefit off of us, when they come into our community. Well, they knew that back then, but we had trumpets to warn so our warriors could go. Also, was the trumpets to let you know that there was peace. There was nobody invading. We could gather together and have a happy feast. This was a feast to show that we were all to be on one accord and one wavelength. All right, go ahead.
If I could.
Go ahead.
You were saying about slaves that had the most skill. That's why they called it the Reconstruction. They had to reconstruct a way to deal with it. So.
Another question.
Why is the trumpet the instrument of choice? If I could ask that question.
I actually
This
wouldn't
is the loudest instrument.
slack it, sir. He's asking why is the trumpet the instrument of choice? I wouldn't.
It's a product of war and warning, just like the shofar. It's not because it's loud. That's just an instrument of war. You know what I mean?
Come.
So would this be considered a trumpet or just like a horn?
No, that's a shofar. That's a horn.
Come on. All right, Salaki, verse 25. Leviticus 23 and 25. You shall do no servile work therein.
But if I could, they all serve the same purpose.
Come.
As a warning.
Come. But you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Notice how all these feast days they're cooking. Cooking is involved. Go ahead.
Okay. Verse 26. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of the 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement, shall be a holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
Now you notice this right here. This was the day that we were supposed to fast from sunset to sunset, and this was on the 10th day of the 7th. It was the Day of Atonement, and it's really interesting because the Muslims stole and took bits and pieces of the Bible and made a whole religion out of it. And this is where they stole Ramadan. I mean, they stole from us and then called it the holiday Ramadan, which all they're doing is missing lunch. That's all they're doing. They're not fasting for 24 hours. All they're doing, there's only missing one meal. It's lunch. That's it. But you can see here that a lot of this stuff, a lot of these cultures, they took bits and pieces of the Bible and made their own religion. Okay. But this was the Day of Atonement was where you were supposed to fast for 24 hours. And it was to give you a life lesson because everybody needs food. That's an essential need for everybody. And it's pretty much the lessons here. If you can fight the urge of eating, then you can fight the urge of your demons. That's the spirit behind the Day of Atonement because everybody needs food and drink. And so it's pretty much teaching you the lesson if you could do that. And a precept is when they could not cast out a demon, and then Yahweh Shah came and cast it out. He said these things can be done only through fasting and praying. All right, go ahead.
Verse 28.
You got something?
It might have been off that verse when he said Yahweh Shah he could cast out a demon, and Yahweh Shah came cast out a demon and said only these things can be done through fasting. Can you elaborate on casting out a demon?
I was going to ask the same question.
You got it.
All right, so casting out a demon, pretty much we do that at camp every week. Pretty much, what a lot of times when you're dealing with a demon, it's like what we do at camp. We get really aggressive with it. We're really insulting the demon to bring it out of somebody, to bring it to a head. Even you were there at camp last week. And so what usually happens is when you bring in a demon out of somebody, two things are going to happen. Either they're going to flee, or they're going to start coming to the table and asking more questions. It happens at camp every week. When somebody has a demon on them, you get really, really aggressive with them. It's just like with anything. When people have some type of sickness, the doctor will get very aggressive with that sickness when he's prescribing it. If not, it's going to spread. And so usually when somebody has a demon on them, you insult and you get that you are aggressive with that demon to bring it out of them. That so it can come to a head. And usually two things, just like the person last week when we were at camp going at it with, what happened to her? You were there. What you do?
Got real loud, got upset, and then
she left. All right, because that's what is going to happen. When you're going against a demon and the demon recognizes pretty much the men of the Lord, there's two things that's going to happen. Either the demon is going to come out of that person and they're going to start coming to the table. I've seen people in tears at the table asking questions. Or that demon with that person, they're going to leave. But you get really aggressive with it. Okay?
There's other methods too. Counseling.
Counsel.
Cast out. There's a whole lot of methods though.
So in this sense, when Yahweh Shah was talking to them and they couldn't cast it out, in this sense, was it like going camp in that sense? Or was it in another sense?
You talking about like the setting or the?
Yeah, because I just wanted to get more understanding. Like they couldn't do it. I mean,
they wasn't equipped, or maybe they couldn't do it so Christ can come to do it. So you know, It could be that also. You know what I mean?
Come.
But
But
we'll get to it. We'll get to it later.
Come.
Remind me after the service. So,
come,
I have a question.
come.
If I could. Can different types of mental illnesses be confused or construed as demons?
yes.
Like,
Absolutely.
so if somebody, I say somebody's schizophrenic, but they don't know.
Yeah. It could,
Is that a demon or is that a clinical mental?
it could be
you know what I'm
both.
saying?
It could be
Come.
both. You know what I'm saying? It could be both. But let's move on.
Sorry.
Remind me after though.
Come.
We'll be up here all night.
Come.
Come on.
28 was the last one.
20 was you already read 28?
I can finish. I can read it one.
Go ahead.
Yeah, how many more we got?
I think 3 more. I think
We got 3 more.
Come.
It's Leviticus 23 and 28. And ye shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God.
That's it. Excellent. Uncle Rob, sir.
We got 8 piece.
Yeah, check in there. I think there should be one in there.
We'll move on until we'll get them next time.
Okay. All right, let's read Leviticus 23. We're going to be reading 29 through 35 in the Hebrew first. Leviticus 23, verse 29 in the Hebrew. Kaya, call, hanapash, ashar, la'ah, ba'ayna, ba'aytazam, ayawam, azah, wana karatha, ba'aynya. Verse 30, call, hanapash, ashar, ba'aisha, call, ma'alaka, ba'aytazam, ayawa, azah, wa'abadathya, hanapash, hahawa'a, makorab, Aima, verse 31. Call Malaka La'av Aishawa Kwadath Ilawam Slakin Ladarath Yakam Bakal Mashabath Yakam, verse 32. Shabbath 1 Hawa'a Lakam Wa'aina Yatham Napashaf Yakam Batha Aiha the Kadash, Irab, Sasha Bathwa, Shabbathkum, verse 33. Where Debar, Yahweh al Mashallah Amar, verse 34. Debar al Banya, Yasha'ala la Amar, Baka Masha, Aishar, Yawam, Bakadash, Aishabayaya, Hazah, Chag, Hasakwa, Hashaba'ait, Yam Yahweh. La Yahweh Slakia, verse 35. By Yawam, Harashwan, Makara, Kodash, Call, Malakaf, Ibadha, Outla'av, Aishawa, and that's it.
It's Leviticus 29 and 30. Salaki, 23 and 30.
23 and 29.
Salaki, 23 and 29. For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people.
Cut off, you be just treated like a heathen. You're not doing the Israelite way. Our Lord's come should be killed. Go ahead.
Come on, verse 30. And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, the same soul will I destroy from among his people. Verse 31. Shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. 32. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls. In the 9th day of the month at even, from even until even, shall you celebrate your Sabbath. Verse 33. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord.
Okay, so the Feast of Tabernacles, you had to commemorate for 7 days because that is when we commemorated us dwelling in tents. Tabernacles means tents. We were dwelling in tents in the wilderness when we came out of Egypt. Go ahead.
So last question. All this in the same month? All these
Almost
days in
seven.
the same month?
Well,
Because it's saying
the
the
last
10th,
three.
if I'm starting from 24, it's saying the 7th month.
Yeah, so you got the Day of Atonement.
10th month, Salaki.
Well, it's the 7th month. You have like the Day of Atonement, Feast of Trumpets, and Feast of Tabernacles. All 3 of those are the same.
Cut on. We at 31?
We're at 35.
35. It's Leviticus 23 and 35. On the first day, thou shalt be a holy convocation. Thou shalt be a holy convocation. Shall do no servile work therein.
Excellent. All right, just the people up here. Aimani. Korala, come, present thyself in thy registry.
Kerala come. Banya Hawada, Banya Shala.
Korala come. Banya Hawada, Banya Sha'ala.
Yahweh by Hashem. That's the other one.
No, you right.
Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shah,
Barakadam.
Barakadam.
Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshua Barakatah. Yeshabia. All right, we're reading Leviticus 23. We're going to read 36 through 42 in the Hebrew. Leviticus 23, verse 36. 23, verse 36 in the Hebrew. Shabbat Yum Yum Fakora Yahweh Asha La Yahweh Bayawam Hasham Yun Yunya Makora Kodash Yahya Lakam Waha Korabtham Asha La Yahweh Aitazarath Hawa Call Malakath Ibatha La Aisha Wa. Verse 37. Allah Mawa'idya Yahweh Ashar Fakora Wa Atham Makora Wa Kodash Lahakorayab Asha La Yahweh Allah Wamana Ka Zabak Wanasakyam Dabar Yawam Wayawamwa. Verse 38. Malabad Shabatha Yahweh Wamalabad with a no wath yakam, wamala bad, call, nadar yakam, wamala bad, call, nada bawath yakam, ashar, thafnawa, la Yahweh, verse 39, bakal mashab, ashar, yawam, lakadash, hashabayaya, sakam, thaba wa ha'arataza, the Kagwa, Chag, Yahweh, Shabbat, Yum Yum, Bayawam, Hara Ashwan, Shabbathwan, Waba Yawam, Hasham, Hashamayanya, Shabbathwan, verse 40. Wala Kwa Katham, Lakam, Bayawam, Hara Ashwan, Pariah, Aitazah, Hadar, Kapath, from Mariam, wa Aina, Aitaza, Ibath, wa Ibad, so like wa Irabia, Nakal, Wisha Machatham, Lapanya, Yahweh, Allahayakam, Shabbat, Yum Yum, verse 41. Wayagatham, Wakagtham, Slakia, Athwa, Chag, Yahweh, Shabbat, Yum Yum, Bashana, Conquath, Awalam, Ladarathicum, Bakadash, Hashabayaya, Thakagwa, Athwa, verse 42, Basakath, Shabwa, Shabaith, Yum Yum Call, Zarak, Bayasha'ala, Yeshabwa, Basakath, and that's it. We're reading Leviticus 23 and we're reading 36 through 42.
Leviticus chapter 23, verse 36. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. Verse 37. These are the feasts of the Most High, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto the Most High, a burnt offering, and a meat offering, a sacrifice, and drink offering, everything upon this day. Verse 30. Besides the Sabbath, verse 38. Besides the Sabbaths of the Most High, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your free will offerings, which ye shall give unto the Most High. Verse 39. Also, in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Most High 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath.
Okay, and of course, that's talking about the Feast of Tabernacles, and that's talking about us dwelling in tents for all of those dwelling in tents for 40 years in the wilderness, and the Most High dwelt with us. He had his own tent there. Okay, keep going.
Verse 40. And ye shall take you on the first fruits that
On the first day.
on the first day, what's that B word?
The
Boughs.
boughs.
Okay. Verse 40. And ye shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook.
Shalom, shalom.
And ye shall rejoice before the Most High your power 7 days. Verse 41. And ye shall keep it a feast unto the Most High 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. Ye shall celebrate it in the 7th month. Verse 42. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born, Shalaki. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelite born shall dwell in booths.
Verse 42 is important. It said all that are Israelite born. So that shows other nations can't be keeping these feast days. So all that are Israelite born shall dwell in booths, because it was the Israelites that were freed and taken out of Egypt, not anybody else. All right, and that's it. I'll just keep them up here, Pat. It's only 2 more scriptures. All right, we're going to read the last 2 scriptures in the Hebrew, then we're going to finish it off in the English. This is Leviticus 23, verse 43 in the Hebrew. Lama'ain, Yadaiwa, Darafyakam, Kaya, Basakwa, Hawa Shabathya, Banya Yasha'ala, what is Ya, our thumb, Marataza, Matazarium, Anya, Yahweh, Allahayakam, verse 44. Yadabar, Mashah, Ma'aidya, Yahweh, all, Banya, Yasha'ala. That's it.
Leviticus chapter 23, verse 43. That your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths. When I brought them out of the land of Egypt, I am the Most High, your power. Verse 44. And Moses declared unto the children of Israel the feast of the Most High.
That's it. All right. So pretty much the spirit behind the feast of week of feast of first fruits is the spirit of brotherhood and not to be greedy. And a precept with that is, if you look in the book of Acts chapter 2, when it's talking about the Holy Spirit was given, it shows that all the Israelites, all the people of the Most High were on one accord. And this is what we should be on this day, should be on one accord. And if you read how they were acting, they were all giving of each other their possessions and distributing it out, so that nobody, it said nobody lacked. And that's the spirit behind this feast day, is that nobody should be lacking and nobody should be greedy. You should be thinking of your brother and not thinking of yourself and what can I get out of it. But you know, the man-made holidays, Christmas, birthdays, and Valentine's Day, always thinking about what can I get? What can I get? And what did you get for me? And what are you buying for me? Each feast day is asking you, what are you going to give to your brother? So you could see that these days are definitely the opposite of these days are actually the opposite of the heathen days. All right. Anyone to add that? You want to ask a question? You say it.
You can ask questions.
Is there anybody have any questions or anything like that? Any questions in the world about either this feast day or any of the feast days we went over? Amen. Go ahead, Khan. Top.
I always wonder how y'all determine which month is Like, you know what I'm saying? Is it off the moon or like how do you determine the 10th month or which month the feast day?
The feast days really pretty much fall into the spring. So you got the feast days fall if you think of farming. So it falls during like the springtime, like when the spring would hit. You got like Passover, Days of Unleavened Bread, and pretty much Feast of First Fruits. That's all usually during the spring. And so during Israel, they would have what is called the spring harvest, and then the latter feasts are usually in the late summer, autumn time. Right. That was usually late summer or during the autumn. And that's when because that's when you would, if you got to think about farming, that's when your crops would grow. Okay. And then after that, after the feast season, that's why you would say at the end of the year, the 7th month, that wasn't literally the end of the year, it was the end of them harvesting.
So the end of the harvest time.
Yeah, the end of the harvest time.
Basically when the crops stop growing.
Right, when you're gathering in the end of your crops because the winter was coming. And that's when you would do like a lot of times after that, they would do a lot of the sowing and sow in certain parts during that time coming back around. So when you think of the feast day, they determine it from the spring and the spring and autumn time. That's when the feast. So the beginning of the month for us is in the during the springtime. When he said this is the month, the beginning of the months had to do with during the time of growing the crops, or the crops would start to sprout up. Okay.
So after you harvest your crops, you divide everything up you got. No, get a priest, you lower this 10% up top. Divide everything you got up.
Yeah, the priest they get that 10% right up the top. So your first fruits will grow up your best, pretty much your best crops, your first fruits. You would give that to the priest. You would take that to the priest. You take it either to the temple or to the priest that was maybe living in your community. You would take that to them, and then you could do whatever else you want with yours. But a lot of times they would take the rest of that stuff and share it with the Levite, the stranger, and everybody. So pretty much people should be benefiting off of what the Most High blessed you with. That's a good question. Any other questions?
It seemed like a fair. Like you said, shouldn't nobody be elected because we all got the same thing. Even if we don't, I still got something to share with you.
You got something to share, and whatever the Most High blessed you with. And everybody was supposed to bring something to the feast. It says 3 times a year you're supposed to come before the Most High, and it says nobody should come empty-handed. So even if you were poor, the Most High you had to bring something. Now, you might not bring the big fat lamb like somebody else had, but the Most High still had you bring. So everybody was supposed to bring something. Any other questions? Any questions, comments? All right. With that, this is just the people up here. Mario.
I'm supposed to say something. La Yashala.
It's just for the men of Israel, Imadium, which means to stand. Men of Israel, gird up thy loins and prepare to salute the Torah. Yahweh Bashem Yashab Rakya.
Yahweh Shem Yahushua Brak Yah.
Move up some.
Yahweh, Bashem, Yahusha, Rakia.
Model form. Have them stand up. Move up with some little young man. Move up some. There you go. Nobody touched the Torah. Yahweh. Bahashem. Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai. Barak. Yah. How about Shema Shabrak? Yeah.
Yabashim Shabrak. Yeah. Yabashim Shabrak. Yeah.
Help him out a little bit real quick. Wait a minute. One minute. Stand up. Help him out for a second.
Still got a hold.
Kind of one kind.
Slide. Come. What's the other one, sir? You call it, sir. Awesome.
Amayim Wapakudam, which means rise and face the east. Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa.
Abanawa.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Quadash.
Quadash.
Hayah.
Hayah. Shemka. Yahweh. Malak Wafka. Lama'ah. With Zayika. Hayah. Aisha. Baratiza. Kawa. Hayah. Shemayim. The thunder now. The calm. Calm. Your walk. What's a lot now? Kawat now. Kasalat now. The walking out. Wala'ah. The behind now. When I say one. A ball. I'm a shine out. Hayah. Right.
Kaya.
Laka. Hamalakwa. Waha'ala. Waha'ala. Ba'alaman. Aman. And in the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth. As it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. Lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
Now, the power, Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Hashim Yahushua.
Hashem Yahushua.
Baruchah.
Thunder now.
The
The thunder now.
Hakak.
Hakak. Larapa'ah.
Kamakala.
Wakamallah.
Kamadawa.
Wakamadawa. Hakak.
Latahar.
Latahar.
Hamatazariah.
Hamatazariah. Hakak.
Hakim.
The Hakim.
Amakim.
Hakak.
Arakawa.
Arakawa.
Tama'ala.
Tama'ala.
Garashah.
The Garashah.
Bahashim Yahushua.
Hashem Yahushua.
Water
The water amount. And in the English, Yahweh. In the name of Yahushua. Please give us the power. The power to heal. All manner of sickness. And all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the lepers. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. To cast them out. In the name of Yahushua. Thank you. So be it.
That's Israel. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Bahashim Yahushua.
Hashem Yahushua.
Rakanawa.
Rapanah.
Yasha'al.
Wahabayah. Wahabayah. Sapari. Barak. Rapah. Magun. Magun.
Bahashim Yahushua.
Hashem Yahushua.
Water
The water amount. And in the English, Yahweh. In the name of Yahushua. Bless us. And Israel. And the school. Bless. Heal. Shield. Protect. In the name of Yahushua. Thank you. So be it.
Blessings. Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Wa Yahweh Shah.
Wa Yahweh Shah.
Wa Mayaka Allah.
Wa Mayaka Allah.
Wa Allah Hayim.
Wa Allah Hayim.
Tazab Ya'ab.
Matazab Ya'ab.
Allah Wap Yahana.
Allah Wap Yahana.
Allah Wapyam.
Allah Wap Yahana.
Hasaranium.
Hasaranium.
Hakotazayanium.
Hakotazayanium.
Hakoyolium.
Hakayolium.
Wa Agwafian.
Wa Ha'akwafian.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Wa Hashem Yahweh Shah.
Hashem Yahweh Shah.
Wa Rahman.
The water of mine. And then the English. Bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh.
And Yahweh Shah.
And Yahweh Shah.
And Mike.
And Mike.
And the angels.
And the angels.
Commanding General Yahweh.
Command you, Yahweh.
The general.
General.
The captain.
Captain.
The officer. The troop.
The troop.
And the sister.
And the sister.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shah.
In the name of Yahweh Shah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it. Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Aisha up.
Aisha up.
Ayanya.
Ayanya.
Ahahari.
Ahahari.
Wa Ayan.
Wa Ayan.
Yaba'ah.
Yaba'ah.
Azaria.
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 Ma'ayin.
Ma'ayin.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Samayam.
Samayam.
Wa Arataza.
Wa Arataza.
Al Yatan.
Al Yatan.
Amawat.
Samawat.
Golka.
Golka.
Al Yanawam.
Al Yanawam.
Shamaraka.
Shamar.
Hanak.
Hanak.
La'ah.
La'ah.
Yanawam.
Yanawam.
Wala'ah.
Wala'ah.
Yashan.
Yashan.
Shawamar.
Shawamar.
Yasha Allah.
Yasha Allah.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Shamarka.
Yahweh.
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 Tazalka.
Tazalka.
Al Yad.
Al Yad.
Yam Yanka.
Yam Yanka.
Yawamam.
Yawamam.
Hashamash.
Hashamash.
La'ah.
La'ah.
Yakaka.
Yakaka.
Oyarak.
Wayarak.
Oyalah.
Walayala.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yashamarka.
Yashamarka.
Makorah.
Makorah.
Yashamar.
Yashamar.
Afna Pashka.
Afna Pashka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yashamar.
Yashamar.
Taza'afka.
Taza'afka.
Wabawa'aka.
Wabawa'aka.
Ma'aitha.
Ma'aitha.
Wa'ai.
Wa'ai.
Iwalam.
Iwalam.
Aman.
Aman. And in the English. I will lift up my eyes into the hill.
I will lift up my eyes into the hill.
From whence cometh my help?
From whence cometh my help?
My help cometh from Yahweh.
My help cometh from Yahweh,
Which made heaven and earth.
which made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be
He
moved.
will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth
He
thee
that keepeth
will
thee
not slumber.
will not slumber.
Behold,
Behold,
he that keepeth Israel
he that keepeth
shall
Israel
neither slumber nor sleep.
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right
The
hand.
sun shall not smite thee by day,
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
nor the moon by night.
nor the moon by night.
Yahweh shall preserve thee
Yahweh shall preserve thee
from all evil.
from all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
and thy coming in.
and thy coming in.
From this time forth,
From this time forward,
even forevermore.
even forevermore.
So be it.
So be it.
Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Allah Hayim.
Allah Hayim.
Al Damayalaka.
Al Damayalaka.
Al Fakarash.
Alpha Garash.
Al Tashakwak.
Wa Alpha Shakwat.
Al.
Ah.
Kayahana.
Kayahana.
Al Yabyaka.
Our Yabdika.
Hama Yawan.
Yahama Yawan.
Moshanayaka.
When it's Shanayaka.
Sha'awa.
Nesha'awa.
Ash.
Ra'ash.
Al Aimka.
Al Amika.
Arum Yawa.
Ya'am Yawan.
Sawad.
Sawad.
With the Aitazawa.
Where you throw your eye to the wall.
Tazapawanyaka.
Alpha Sapa Wandika.
Amarwa.
Amar.
Kawa.
Look at what?
Wanakakidam.
When a cocky.
Mongolia.
Mongolia.
Wala'ah.
Wala'ah.
Razakar.
Yasakar.
Sham Yasha'alam.
Sham Yasha'al.
Iwad.
Iwad.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Nawa'aitazawa.
Never eye to the wall.
La.
La.
Kanwa.
Yakab.
Al-Yakab.
Ayakab.
Warya. Waryaf.
Rayaf.
Yakarathwa.
Rayakarathwa.
Aholia.
Aholia.
Adawam.
Adawam.
Washima'ai Alayam.
Umashemai Aliyam.
Wa'aba.
Wa'ama.
Wahagarian.
Wahagarian.
Ball.
The ball.
Wa'amawan.
Wa'amawan.
Wa'amalak.
Wa'amalak.
Halashah.
Halashah.
Am Yeshabia.
Am Yeshabia.
Because of war.
Time of the war.
Gum Ashawar.
Gum Ashawar.
Nalawak.
Nalawak.
Amam.
Amam.
Hayawak.
Ayawak.
Zarawai.
Zarawai.
Abanya Lawat.
Zabanya Lawat.
Salah.
Salah.
Aishalaham.
Aishalaham.
Kamadian.
Kamadian.
Kasayasara'ah.
Kasi Yasara'ah.
Kayabian.
Kamadian.
Banakal.
Banakal.
Kayashwan.
Kuyashwan.
Ashamadwa.
The Shamadwa.
Ba'ayanda Arab.
Ba'ayanda Arab.
Hayawa.
Hayawa.
Daman.
Daman.
Ba'adama.
La'adama.
Sayathamwa.
Shayathamwa.
Nadayabmawa.
Nadayabmawa.
Ka'irab.
Ka'irab.
Because of Abu.
Because of the Abba.
Because of Bak.
Because of Bak.
Kautu Zalmanai.
Because of Zolmanai.
Kana Sayakamwa.
Koina Sayakamwa.
Ashar.
Ashar.
Amarawa.
Amara.
Nayarash.
Nayarash.
Sluggy. What is that?
Nayarasha.
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 Anawa.
Lanawa.
Af.
Af.
Na'awaf.
Na'awaf.
Alahayim.
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 Shayathamwa.
Shayathamwa.
Kagogala.
Kagogala.
Kakwash.
Kakwash.
Panyaraka.
Lapanyaraka.
Ka'ash.
Ka'ash.
Ira. Ya'ira.
The Ira. Ira.
Kala Abba.
Wakala Abba.
Salahat.
Salahat.
Taryam.
Taryam.
Kan.
Kan.
Radakma.
Radakma.
Wasa Iraka.
Wasa Iraka.
What was a Pafka?
What was a Pafka?
The Bahalam.
Balahum,
Mala'ah.
Mala'ah,
Hanyaham.
Hanyaham,
Balawan.
Qualawan,
Wayabakwashwa.
Wayabakwashwa,
Shumka.
Shumka,
Yahweh.
Yahweh,
Yabashwa.
Yabashwa,
Wayabaholiwa.
Wayabahola,
Ayai.
Ayai,
Wayakaparwa.
Wayacaparwa,
Wayabadwa.
Wayabadwa,
Wayadaiwa.
Wayadaiwa,
Kaya.
Kaya,
Atha.
Atha,
Shamka.
Shemka,
Yahweh.
Yahweh,
Labadka.
Labaka,
Alyawan.
Ayawan,
Alkar.
Akar,
Ha'arataza.
Ha'arataza,
Aman.
Aman. In the English, keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace,
And be not still, O Yahweh.
and be not still, O Yahweh.
For lo,
For lo,
thy enemies make a tumult.
thy enemies make a tumult,
And they that hate thee
and they that hate thee
have lifted up the head.
have lifted up the
They
head.
have taken crafty counsel
They have taken crafty counsel
against thy people.
against thy people,
Consulted against thy hidden one.
and consulted against thy hidden one.
They have said,
They have said,
Come, let us cut them off
and let us cut them off
from being a nation.
from being a nation,
That the name of Israel
that the name of
may
Israel
be no more remembered.
may be no more remembered.
They've consulted together
They have consulted together
with one consent.
with one consent.
They are confederate against
They
thee.
are confederate against
The
thee,
tabernacles of Edom
the tabernacles of Edom,
and the Israelites
and the Israelites,
of Moab,
of Moab,
the Hagarene,
and the Hagarene,
Gabal,
Gabal,
and Ammon,
Ammon,
and Amalek,
and Amalek,
the Philistines,
the Philistines,
with inhabitants of Tyre.
the inhabitants of Tyre.
Asher is also joined with them.
Asher is also joined with them.
They have hope in the children of
They have
Lot.
hope in the children of Lot.
Salah,
Salah,
do unto them
do unto them
as unto the
as
Midianites,
unto the
as
Midianites,
to Sisera,
as to Sisera,
as to Jabin,
as to Jabin,
at the brook of Kissar,
at the brook of Esau,
which perished in Endor.
perished at
They
Endor.
became as dung for the earth.
They have been done for the earth.
Make their nobles like a rat,
Make their nobles like a red,
and like Zaeb,
and like the air,
yea, all their princes,
all their princes,
and Sabah,
and Sabah,
and then Zalmunna,
and that's the moon,
who said,
who said,
let us take to ourselves
let us take to ourselves
the houses of Yahweh
your houses of Yahweh
in possession.
in possession.
O my power,
Oh, my power,
make them like a wheel,
make them like a wheel,
as a stubble before the wind,
as it stumble before the wind,
as the fire burns the wood,
as the fire burneth the
and
wood,
as the flames set the mountains on
and as
fire.
the flames set up the mountains on fire.
So persecute
So
them
persecute
with
them
thy tempest,
with thy tempest,
and make them afraid
and make them afraid
with thy storm.
with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame,
Fill their faces with
that
shame.
they may seek thy name.
They may seek thy name.
O Yahweh,
Oh, Yahweh,
let them be confounded
let them be
and
confounded
trouble forever.
and trouble forever.
Yea, let them be put to shame
Let them be put to shame
and perish,
perish,
that men may know
that men may know
that thou,
that thou,
whose name alone
whose name alone
is Yahweh,
is Yahweh,
art the Most High
art the Most High
over all the earth.
over all the earth.
So be it.
So be it.
These are the curses. Blessed you, Yahweh,
Blessed you, Yahweh,
King of heaven and earth,
King of heaven and earth,
and all things living.
and all things living.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahweh
in the
Shai,
name of Yahweh,
listen to us now.
listen to us now,
Right now.
right now.
Send evils and curses
Send evils and curses
and punishment and
and
destruction
punishment and destruction
to the heat
to the heathen
that speak against
that
us.
speak against us,
Thy prophets,
not prophets,
the teachers,
the teachers,
the princes,
princes,
the priests,
the priests,
the Israelite brothers,
the Israelite brothers,
and the school.
and the school.
Send evils and curses
Send evils and curses
and punishment and destruction
and punishment and
to
destruction
the heat
to the heathen
and shake loose the treasure
and shake loose the treasure
of the rich of Israel
of the rich of
that
Israel
refuse to give to the school.
and refuse to give to the school.
Force their riches
Force their riches
to enter into thy
to
sanctuary.
enter into our sanctuary.
Send evils and curses
Send evils and curses
and punishment and destruction
and punishment and
to
destruction
the Edomites
to the Edomites
and the nation
and the nation
and their drug
and
dealers,
the drug dealers,
the court system,
the court system,
the prison
the
system,
prison system,
Planned Parenthood,
Planned Parenthood,
all the governments of our enemies,
all the governments of our enemies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Roman Catholic Church,
Roman Catholic Church,
the Pope,
the Pope,
Islam,
Islam,
Christianity,
Christianity,
Egyptology,
Egyptology,
militia,
militia,
Ku Klux Klan,
Ku Klux Klan,
Aryan Nation,
Aryan Nation,
skinheads,
Skinheads,
Posse Comitatus,
Posse Comitatus,
the gay movement,
Gay
the gay movement,
Gay
the lesbian movement,
Lesbian
the
movement,
lesbian movement,
Lesbian movement,
spies,
Spies,
workers of witchcraft,
workers of witchcraft,
NASA space program,
NASA space program,
Army,
Army,
Navy,
Navy,
Air Force,
Air
Marine,
Marine,
Wall Street,
Wall Street,
open up the internet
open up the internet
and the airway,
and the airway,
cable access channel
cable access channel,
and the radio channel.
and the radio channel.
Convict the spirit
Convict the
of
spirit
any of thy people
of any of thy people
that seek to stop
that
us
seek to stop
and
us
bring swift destruction
and bring swift destruction
to all the heathen
to all the heathen
that stand in the way
that stand in the way
or try to stop
or
us
try to stop us
from broadcasting your word
from broadcasting your word
throughout the planet Earth.
throughout the planet Earth.
Let loose all the plagues.
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 Cause them to go to and fro
Cause them to go to and fro
through the earth
through the earth
and consume
and
it.
consume me.
Let the plague
Let the plague
take the house of the thief
take the house of the thief
and the murder.
and the murder.
Let Yahweh Yahushua,
Like the Yahushua,
Michael and Gabriel,
Michael and Gabriel,
come down with the flying
come
saucer
down with the flying
and punish
saucer,
all the heathen
punish all the
that come up against us
come up against
as
us,
we speak thy word.
and we speak thy
Cause
word.
we know
Cause it to be known
by all
by all
that is the angel
that is the
that
angel
have done it.
that have done it.
Cause it be spread
Cause it to be spread
through the media,
through the media,
throughout the whole world.
throughout the whole world.
Cause them to shake it thy coming.
Cause it to shake it thy coming.
In the name of
In the
Yahushua,
name of Yahushua.
thank you always.
Thank you always.
So be it.
So be it.
Saw, which means to turn. Sisters, Yeshavium.
Go on, sir.
We're gonna give one.
This concludes the service.
We're gonna give one courtesy salute to the teacher, men of Israel, Amayim Shabbat, Amayim, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah,
Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Barakatah.
Yahumatah. Sisters, Amayim, we stand. Men of Israel saw, which means turn. We'll give one courtesy salute to the sisters, men of Israel, Amayim Shabbat, Amayim, Barak,
Yahweh Shema Adam Ba'ashem Yahushua.
Yahumatah. Class is missed.